What really happens to recycled plastics after you toss that empty bottle into the blue bin, feeling a quick sigh of relief as you think you've done your part for the planet? Do they go on to live a new life as something shiny and useful? Or do they quietly disappear into some hidden corner of the industrial world where no one ever looks? The truth is far less polished than the slogans printed on those bins, because the journey of recycled plastic is not a straight line. It's a messy, noisy, and often surprising pathway full of heat, grit, steam, and human decisions that can change the fate of a single piece of trash. It starts in collection centers where mountains of bottles, bags, food containers, and colorful packaging roll together into a chaotic sea of colors and shapes, and workers or machines begin to pull them apart, sometimes with automated sensors, sometimes by human hands tired from the endless repetition. And right there, the first twist in the story happens. Because not every plastic is created equal. Some melt clean, others release fumes, some hold dyes that cling like ghosts, and some are so mixed with food or chemicals that they're simply thrown aside, rejected from the cycle before it even begins. The survivors are crushed, not gently, but with the violent grinding of steel teeth that turn familiar shapes into broken flakes. And this stage feels almost cruel, as if the past life of each bottle is erased in an instant. Then comes the washing, a stage most people never imagine, where those shards are tumbled in giant baths of hot water and detergents, sometimes even blasted with air jets that strip away labels and bits of leftover glue. And here the plastics fight for purity, because if a speck of grease or a paper fragment slips through, the whole batch can lose its value. Cleaned and sorted again by density, often through floating and sinking in bubbling tanks, the light plastics drift one way while the heavier ones sink, almost like a secret sorting ritual happening in silence. And from there the flakes are dried, heated, melted into pellets that no longer resemble anything you once touched. Small glossy beads that carry inside them the ghost of a soda, a milk jug, or a grocery bag. But here's the catch. Those pellets are rarely turned back into the exact same product. Instead, they may end up in textiles for clothing, carpeting for offices, a plastic lumber for park benches, or even hidden layers in packaging that nobody notices. And the shiny promise that your bottle would become another bottle again is often broken, because the quality of recycled plastic usually drops with each cycle, a slow decline called downcycling, that quietly limits how many lives a single piece can actually live. This is why companies mix fresh plastic with recycled pellets, blending old and new to create something strong enough to use. And while this sounds clever, it also means that the circle of recycling is not truly endless. It's more of a spiral, a downward path where each turn takes the material further from its original purpose, until eventually, it can't be reused at all. Then there's the darker side, the part not printed in glossy brochures, where plastics collected for recycling in one country are shipped across oceans to another, packed into containers and sent to facilities in places where labor is cheap and regulations are thin, and there those same bottles may be burned, buried, or left in open dumps, their journey ending in smoke or soil instead of rebirth, a story hidden far from the cheerful arrows of the recycling logo. Yet, amidst this complicated web, innovation is quietly growing. Scientists are experimenting with chemical recycling that breaks plastic back into its original building blocks, promising to reset the clock and give infinite lives instead of just 2 or 3. Machines are learning to separate materials with lasers and artificial intelligence, and small startups are building closed-loop systems where a bottle can truly become another bottle without losing quality. But these are still rare, still fragile in a world built on convenience and speed. So when you drop that container into the bin, its destiny is not as simple as a happy loop drawn on paper. It's a gamble, a test of technology, policy, and honesty. And while some pieces may indeed come back to you in new shapes, many others vanish into smoke, fibers, benches, or carpets, transformed into things you may never recognize. That's the untold reality of recycled plastics. Not the story companies sell, but the raw, unpolished journey filled with heat, pressure, human choices, and invisible truths. A journey that leaves us asking not just what happens after recycling, but whether we are willing to face the uncomfortable answer that the cycle isn't really a circle at all. And maybe the final step is not in the factory, but in the way we choose to use plastic in the first place.